Hello YouTube. This video is about how if you can manage some of the small problems with autism, it can become much easier to deal with autism as a whole condition. And these are the kind of things that are very easy to overlook. Adults, you can do something about this because you've got the choice and the ability to do it, but parents with children on the spectrum, this is probably a very important thing for you to either know about or to consider. Now, for me, my skin sensitivities aren't too bad. Some people on the spectrum don't have it at all. It's a spectrum disorder. Some people on the spectrum just don't have it. Other people, it can be almost unbearable. Everything's uncomfy. I don't really know because I don't have it. But I'm aware that some people are like that. If that's you, you'll know. Now, for me, what I find is that even though my skin sensitivities are very minor, it is a constant drain. I find, find myself uncomfy or just, I can't wait to get home and change out of my clothes and get into something more comfortable. But while that it's a minor irritation, you add that in with all other minor irritations and difficulties as an autistic that you have during the day, and you're going to be heading for a place you don't want to go. That could be a meltdown, it could be sensory overload, it could be any number of things that you don't want to be dealing with. So deal with the small stuff and the big stuff takes care of itself more easily. Now, the first thing is uncomfortable clothes. This one here has a very rough collar, I find, and I can't wear this for any more than a few hours before it starts irritating me so much I become grumpy and I become irritable and short-tempered. Not good. So I tend not to wear this at all. I don't actually really know why I still have it in my wardrobe actually. I got rid of a lot of things when I found out they annoyed or irritated my skin. Annoyed me or irritated my skin. This kind of thing you have less choice about. Some stuff like this you have to wear. Men, if you work in an office, you're kind of stuck with this kind of stuff. Now, the only thing I could do with this was I could get a very soft shirt and wash it with loads and loads of fabric conditioner, and that's actually not too bad. The collar is always going to be more difficult to deal with. It's far harder, it's not as comfortable. So I tend to get my collars so they are quite big and they don't actually touch my skin very often. My work is quite casual, so I get to unbutton the top button as well, which makes this pretty easy for me to wear. The solution are clothes like this. Now, both of these are very comfortable on the outside, they're both very soft, and like you can see here, I think, this is very soft on the inside. That works for me. It's nice and warm. I like having a hood, which I use at home, I don't use when I'm out. It's a very comfortable garment. These are both very good. Only slight thing is I'm in my late 30s and it's not really so acceptable as a man of my age to wear a hooded top. That's more of a younger man's thing, but it's comfortable and I need to be looking for other options, and certainly when I'm older, probably now, I should be looking for other options that are more appropriate to my age. But they're good, they work. Then you have things like this. Now this is a vest obviously, but a long t-shirt works very well as well. Now this is soft and I normally wear this underneath my shirt, and that stops the harsher fabric of the shirt touching me. But the other big advantage this has, and this isn't one of my things, but some people on the spectrum don't like to have gaps in their clothes. maybe midriff tops wouldn't be okay for girls in the spectrum. But even just little gaps in their clothes can be upsetting for some people. This kind of thing helps with that. Now, gaps in my clothes don't bother me so much, but they do help with this. The waistband on trousers are generally quite rough. They're jagged perhaps here, they're jagged perhaps here, and belts make it a whole lot worse as well. Now, if I wear a long garment like a shirt or like a vest or a t-shirt, I can tuck that into my trousers, and the trousers then don't irritate me, and that's great, and that works for me. Now, there are also some things like this. Now, I wouldn't wear anything that's wool because wool irritates me. Having that against my skin I find very uncomfortable. However, some clothes you'll get with things like this inside, which is a wind cheater, and that means I can wear that, and it's warm, it's, it keeps the wind out, but the main thing is it's wool, which I like, but I don't like to have against my skin. And that then allows that to work for me. I suppose equally you could wear a long sleeve t-shirt under something like this, which is very similar to having a long vest or a long t-shirt. Now, the last thing, and not necessarily a skin sensitivity thing, but still important to clothing for me and autism, and presumably other people, are trousers. These trousers are either the right length just, or they're slightly too short. And I hate feeling like I'm walking around with trousers up to here. I never do, but I think I do. And I hate that. I feel like I stick out. I feel that people will be watching me as I go past, and yeah, it exacerbates a whole lot of my social concerns. I don't like being out in the high street in the town or in the city very much at times, and feeling like I look wrong because my trousers are too short. Yeah, it's something I can avoid, so I do avoid it. And the solution to that is pretty obvious. Same trousers, but longer. It's an expensive mistake to make. I wish I had done it better when I went to the shop the first time, but I got these ones and wore other ones, which is why I couldn't take them back. Which is also why I found out that I wasn't quite comfortable with the length. So, to recap, some of us have skin sensitivities. It can be a minor thing, or it can be a really big problem. If for me it's a minor, if for people like me it's a minor thing, if you can still bear it in mind and deal with it, it means that you're going to be able to cope much better with the other aspects of your autism, which are still always there. Deal with the minor things, deal with all of them, and the whole condition becomes easier to manage. Parents with children, this is really, really something parents with children, that's kind of obvious, but parents with children on the autistic spectrum, that's something you need to be looking at, is do they just not like wearing clothes? Sometimes, my nieces, for instance, they just don't like to wear some clothes on some days. They're not in the autistic spectrum. It could be that your child has had a meltdown or has had some kind of big problem of, or other, and you don't know what the cause is. But it could be their clothes, or that could be a factor, whether it's a small factor or a big one. It's the kind of thing that you need to be on top of as a parent. It's easier for adults because we have far more choice in what we can wear. Money permitting, dress codes permitting for things like work. So, if you liked this video, if you could click the like button underneath, that would be great. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. But for today, the important thing I'd like now is if you can go down into the comments box and say whether you or someone you know has a skin sensitivity and what causes it, but also say whether it's a minor thing right through to a very big, difficult thing to deal with. If you could say that, and if you could tell us how you deal with it, or maybe you haven't found a way to deal with it, but if you can put that information underneath, it means anyone else who is interested in this topic can come in, learn from perhaps something I have said in the video, but also they can learn from you, who are going to be much more than me, who is just one person with a spectrum condition. So I can tell you how autism affects me, but it's a spectrum condition and it affects us all very differently, which is just one of the joys. Okay, so thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.